All right, folks, treat for you here on Do You Know Jack Radio Show because I have Duncan of Our Lady Peace calling in today to the show. Duncan, how are you doing, man?
I'm good, Jack. How are you?
I'm great. I'm actually really excited to talk to you today because there's a lot of different things going on in the Our Lady Peace camp these days, including the fact that you guys are currently touring through Canada with Guns and fucking Roses. Oh my God.
Yeah, it was a surprise to me too. When the offer came, it was cool. I was a big fan of them growing up. We may or may not have jammed on Paradise City and Soundcheck or Sweet Child of Mine a number of times.
Yeah.
And I'd actually never seen them play live either. So,
oh wow,
it's been a real treat so far.
So now, have you had the chance to see them live? Did they let you hang out side stage?
No, you can't go anywhere near side stage.
Oh wow.
But I snuck out into the crowd and watched them in Ottawa, not last night, but the night before, and caught a bit of their show in Montreal as well.
How did you guys end up sort of getting on that ticket?
I don't know. It just came across our manager's desk. I think the guy from Steve Herman from Live Nation, whom we have known for many years.
Mm-hmm.
I think he put it all together, so he suggested us. The band said, yeah, great, and here we are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's cool. But on top of this, you've sort of got some new music, about to drop. I think, now the plan is it's sort of like a 2-volume EP with the first one coming out, Somethingness Vol.1, August 25th.
Yeah. So the first song came out last Friday.
That's right. Yeah. Drop Me in the Water.
And the next, Drop Me in the Water. And the next 3 songs come out this Friday, the 25th. And then we have to finish the other half of the record, which is not quite finished yet. We have a lot of songs sort of in a semi state of being finished by October. And I know that the goal has been to get in the studio actually while we're on the road with Guns N' Roses, because there's a couple days between every show.
That's nice.
And so we are hoping to get into the studio in Regina after the Winnipeg show, and then in Edmonton after the Regina show. But Steve, our guitar player, fell off I don't know what he did. He fell off a deck somewhere and sprained his wrist. And so I don't know if we're going to get into the studio. I'm hoping we are.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's going to have to wait till beginning of September when we're back.
So it sounds like you're kind of is this pre-production in Regina, or is this sort of the real deal?
Well, that's the beauty of recording these days. It doesn't have to be pre-production. If you get a great take, you just keep it. And then if you need to record, say, some extra guitars later or some backing vocals or what have you, you can add them later. So, for instance, with Drop Me in the Water, we started to test that song out live when we were out in the fall with I Mother Earth. And since then, we started to mess around with it a little bit. So we, a few weeks back, or maybe a month and a half ago, Steve went in and re-recorded some guitar parts that he liked better. So we were able to re-look at that song, and we had the luxury of doing that after testing it out live. So, my point is that the beds never changed. They were from 6, 8, 9 months ago whenever we recorded them, but we could change some of the things that were on top. So who knows, if we get a great take of something in Regina or Edmonton, it could stay on the record.
And nothing can be finer than a studio in Regina.
That's right.
I couldn't resist. Actually, I am sort of from Saskatchewan. I lived in Regina while I went to university several years ago. So I guess I'm honorary Saskatchewan and allowed to make jokes to a certain extent. Well, no, I'm glad you mentioned I Mother Earth because, the band has a very long history, including, I think from what I've read, initially Our Lady Peace cut their teeth on the road as an opening act for I Mother Earth, but then over the years things have sort of flipped around, and it's sort of more
we played so many shows together with those guys, be it in an opening capacity, a co-headline capacity, or a headline capacity. So they're an amazing band. They're great guys, and we've had a long history with them, and it was really nice to reconnect with them last fall.
Yeah, well, and that was when I Mother Earth was, reuniting, quote unquote, with Edwin and doing their whole Scenery and Fish 20th anniversary thing.
Yep, yep, and it was great. It was good to see Edwin back again, and everybody was happy and creative, and it was just a good. I don't know, it was a good competitive atmosphere.
Yeah.
I literally had a competition with Jag about who could get higher off the stage every single night.
He does jump around quite a bit. I've noticed,
He does.
several
He
pictures.
He moves well for a guy his age.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now, we talked about how Scenery and Fish turned 20 last year. This year, your Clumsy record, which, arguably is, the group's, key recording, is turning 20 itself.
Yep, it is. And we're actually going down to the States to do a full tour in mid-October to mid-November.
Yeah.
Celebrating the 20th anniversary of Clumsy.
Now, are you doing it front to back sort of deal? Like, I know this maybe
we haven't quite figured that out yet.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think so. I think we will do the majority of the record.
Yeah.
We're in the beginning process of trying to figure out what that show is going to be like.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we did the entire Clumsy record. We did an albums tour a couple of years ago in Canada.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to say.
Yeah. Yeah, we have multiple nights. We did, Spiritual Machine one night, and then Clumsy on the other night. And
Mm-hmm.
we did do it front to back, but I'm not sure that we'll do that this time. I think maybe there are one or two songs we might leave off, but we'll do it almost in its entirety.
Yeah, yeah. Well, now, just thinking back to 20 years ago, it's been said that there was a little bit of turmoil going on kind of in the wake of the release of Naveed, and that's sort of what brought you into the band. Am I right?
Yeah. I ended up touring the end of Naveed's touring cycle. Mm-hmm. And then Clumsy was my first record with the band.
Now, did the band was it your cottage or your parents' cottage to actually work through a lot of the writing process on Clumsy?
Yeah. Not the entire process,
uh-huh.
But there were a chunk of songs that came out of that. A little sort of cabin in the woods, and just sequestered ourselves, and in the dead of winter, so we really couldn't get outside, and we came back with 4 or 5 songs from that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, apart from the band being at your cottage and working through things, I mean, where's your influence lie on the record in general, Duncan, in your opinion?
Me personally?
Yeah.
Or I don't know. It certainly, I mean, I can't take personal credit for something that we did as a collective.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But if you listen to Naveed versus Clumsy, it's definitely a different sounding record.
Yeah.
I think that my presence maybe helped facilitate that, but I was only one part of it, because it was always, the theory was always five guys in a room, us and our producer.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody has a voice. Check your ego at the door. Best ideas win. That's how we tried to approach every day.
Yeah. Now, has that sort of been the band's MO for the last 20 some odd years then?
Well, it has, but it's been less like that. I would say there was a chunk of time when it was less like that, because we just didn't have the luxury of time, because we couldn't sit in a room together. And when Ray moved out to Los Angeles, and then Steve joined the band, he was in Los Angeles. So 2 of us in Toronto and 2 in Los Angeles. So a lot of the time, some of the ideas were just getting written on their own, and then we would bring it to the live room, and then everyone had an equal chance to have their say. Obviously, once we were together, but sometimes the ideas were a little more fully formed.
Yeah.
But we seem to be getting, and now we're in 2016, 17. We are, we're starting from demos. We're starting from more fully formed songs. We're starting from just 4 of us in a room together. So it's really any idea wins. I once heard a saying that said, Lady Muse is fickle. So when she knocks on the door, let her in, right? So it doesn't matter how the idea comes, but it's just it's just as long as the ideas come and everyone is digging it and grooving on it, then that's the goal. So who cares how it comes? But even one of the songs that gets released on this coming Friday, it was sort of a rain demo, but then Jason and I took it and created a whole rhythm section that was different, completely different from the original demo, and they ended up actually using the tracks that were recorded in Jason's little rehearsal space.
Mm-hmm.
And then Steve took it further and Rain took it further, and so it's been a really interesting creative process this time around. I think everyone's really happy with it so far.
Well, that's awesome. I was just thinking now, as you were talking about the band's process and stuff, that how much you guys really sort of quote unquote blew up after Clumsy, including this really, really weird appearance that you guys did on this show called Oddville on MTV back in 1997 with people in weird costumes and dogs barking in the whole 9 yards.
Oh my God, I'd forgotten about that. I think they've shoved that somewhere deep into the storage unit, that is the back of the brain that I don't necessarily want to access. That's my dark web.
Sadly, through the quote unquote wonders of YouTube, it's crazy what you can find these days, Duncan.
Oh my God! I honestly can't even picture that. I'm gonna have to, after this interview, I'm gonna have to go and look that up.
I was watching and I was like, oh, the band seems on point. Wait, what the hell is that guy doing dancing in a bizarre costume? And there's a border collie barking for some strange reason. I don't know what actually went on during that show, but it looked weird to me.
Yeah, well, it was called Oddville.
Yeah, but I mean, the other thing, though, is you guys also ended up on the West stage of Woodstock 99.
True. That was a trip. And we were, unfortunately, it didn't turn out to be what we had hoped it would be.
Yeah.
With everything that went down there. And, when we were on stage, it was awesome. And the vibe was really good. I think, the large problem was that the organizers were really gouging everybody, all the concert goers.
Yeah.
And people, there was rebellion and it's supposed to be about peace and love if you really are using the Woodstock name to its fullest. And it just, unfortunately, wasn't that. We were lucky enough to get out before all of the really nasty stuff went down and the fires and all. So we missed all that, but man, was that ever a big crowd to play to? And for our 45 minutes or an hour or whatever it was that we got, I don't remember. It was a blast.
Yeah, well, there's now, you did mention some of the controversy, and I don't want to completely dwell on that, but I mean, it looks like in the video that I saw, you guys are playing at noon, and one of the, things that's been said about that gig was that the temperatures were in excess of, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and there was very little opportunity for fans to, get water, for instance, without basically taking out a small loan.
That was it, and that's a basic human need, right? That just to charge with, I forget what they were charging, but it was sort of an unprecedented price in 1999. I think it was 1999, right? You said?
Yeah.
But it was just, that affects everything. It informs everybody's mood. It informs everyone's behavior, and it's just not. It was, I think if they had 2020, hindsight's 2020. I think if they had organizers had to do it over again, I think they would avoid that step.
Do you think part of it, though, was the addition of some of the heavier, more new metal bands like maybe Korn and especially, infamously Limp Bizkit kind of really didn't help the scenario either?
I don't. Look, I wouldn't place blame like that at all. Mm-hmm. I think that we are, as humans, we need to know our own moral. We all have our own moral compass,
mm-hmm.
and if your moral compass is off, you are responsible for your own actions.
That's fair.
And I think to blame it on someone else, inciting a riot, I don't buy that. You have your own moral compass. You know what's right and wrong.
Mm-hmm.
And to blame someone else is just deflecting. And I think that that's completely wrong.
Yeah. No, I understand. Like I said, from all accounts from what I've seen, and again, your entire set is, sitting right there on YouTube for all to see. I mean, the vibe looked fairly, peace and lovey, for lack of a better phrase, when you
Yeah,
guys were on, and you guys were certainly
yeah, it was
on
great.
point and enjoying yourselves and having fun. And I guess, your takeaway is that, right? And that's probably how you prefer to remember that.
Yeah, and that's how we physically left the venue when that was going on, right?
Yeah.
And unfortunately, then you see what happens the next day after you go, and it just sort of cheapens the whole experience.
Yeah, for sure.
And I don't mean to say that, woe is me. My time on stage was cheapened. I don't mean that at all. I just mean that unfortunately, we are linked to an event that where there was some atrocious behavior, and people just made really wrong decisions and probably wrecked some other people's lives. And it's not cool to be part of that.
Yeah, no, I hear you on that. Well, listen, man, it looks like your time with Guns N' Roses wraps up August 30th, and then you've got a bit of a
Yeah.
break, and then looks like there's quite a number of dates in the United States for the Clumsy 20th, and I'm sure there's probably more that are going to be announced in time. Am I right?
Yeah, I would assume so. And there's going to be a major Canadian tour. We're trying to figure out when that's going to be. And probably, if I was a gambler, I would say the very beginning of 2018.
Nice. Well, listen, Duncan, it's been great having you.